Hello and welcome to another episode of KenTraining, where we want to train you on how to tackle projects like this one on your own. Today's project is going to be unboxing and installing a Brightify electronic door lock in matte black finish. Today's project is going to be fun and easy, so let's get to it right now. Okay, so the box that it came shipped in was this box here, really nice packaging with bubble wrap. I've already unboxed it, put it on the table, and you can see the nice matte black finish for the door handle assembly. And over here is the electronic keypad assembly for the electronic deadbolt that we will be installing. You won't need many tools for this project, especially if you're like me and I have two holes existing to put the new door lock into. If you did not have the holes already drilled in your door, the additional step that you would need to take is you would need to drill the holes for the assembly. They do ship you some nice installation instructions on where to put your holes when you do your drilling, and it gives you instructions on exactly how to do that. I have also downloaded and printed the complete Brightify user manual here, and you can use this for the installation as well. If you didn't want to print it, you could just download it and save it to your computer. You will not need many tools for the project. In our case, we're just going to use a cordless screwdriver with the Phillips head bit and one screwdriver with the Phillips head bit. And then these are just some additional parts that came with the kit. And let's go and do the installation. Okay, the first step that we want to do is we want to install the deadbolt assembly. It is set up so you can do it for either 2 3/8 or 2 3/4 throwbacks simply by pushing this forward and backwards. And ours is 2 3/8, so we're going to do it this way. Make sure that you have the installation installed correctly. In our case, it's a right-handed door swing, end swing, so we know that we want this mechanism here to be this way so it latches smoothly when it comes to the latch mechanism. So that goes in exactly like this. And we won't put the screws in just yet. We'll tighten those down after we put our door lock assembly in. So the next step is to put the actual assembly in right here. So this part here is just simply going to mate straight up and down like that, and you're just going to wiggle that until that seats perfectly with your door. Now let's get to the inside. Now what we want to do is we just want to put this the back side of this on, which mates exactly right inside the key slot right there. Once that is in right there, we just have to, and then make sure it's seated properly. Now we just have to put the two screws in on the top and the bottom. Now that these two screws are started here but not sent home, making sure that everything works good and there's no hang-ups, and I'm going to go ahead and put the two screws on for the latch mechanism. Now that all the screws are in, I'm just going to verify that nothing is hanging up and that the latch mechanism moves freely, and it does, so we're good to go. The next thing we want to install is the deadbolt for the electronic assembly right here, and there are two adjustments that you can do here. You can do it for 2 3/8, or if you hold the latch bolt, you can turn it slightly like this and extend it and then bring it back for 2 3/4. Our particular throw is 2 3/8, so we're going to extend it, push it in all the way, and then turn it so that it's lined up straight, and then we're good to go. When you insert it, you want the crosshairs here to be on the bottom. It's labeled right here that this here is the top, so you know that it has to go in the door this way. So now that that's installed there, we'll go ahead and put the front of the keypad in, which is right here, and we want to make sure that this tail here is lined up exactly straight up and down in the crosshairs. So we're going to go ahead and feed the cable underneath, and then we're going to make sure that the crosshairs are lined up inside the opening, and that make sure that the keypad is sitting nice and flush. That comes with a really nice gasketed material, so you can see that it's nice and weatherproofed when it goes in. You just want to make sure that your gasket is sitting nice and flush against the door, and that this simply goes right in like this, and then we shall work on the other side. Okay, Now we want to put this plate in, and we know that this side here goes against the door because it's labeled, and we know that the cable has to be fed through here. So while we're holding the front of the door lock mechanism and lining up the holes, we'll take our two screws that came with it, and we will put those in and get those started, making sure that we don't strip those out. Once we get those started, we can just tighten up this assembly. Now before we tighten everything down, we're going to make sure that our door is straight up and down here, and that the keypad is straight up and down as well. Now we're going to go ahead and make sure that our door latch switch is set in the correct setting. Our door is a right-hand in-swing. There's a switch here that can be changed from left to right. Right now it's set to right. Over here is the left-hand setting, and there's the letter L right there. But we have a right-hand in-swing. The instructions show you exactly what that is. So you want to make sure that you have this switch set correctly before you put this mechanism on the door. Okay, we want to make sure that we put our pins in correctly when we line this up. Okay, there you go. That is fully seated, confirmed. And then we want to gently wiggle that and get that into the door. And then once that's lined up like that, I want to make sure before I put the screws on that I'm actually throwing the bolt. And I am throwing the bolt properly. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 screws in right now. Now that we have the screws in, we want to verify that the bolt throws correctly, and it does. And we're going to go ahead and put in the 4 AA batteries right now. We got 2 beeps when the batteries were put in. I'm going to put the door on here, close that up. We're going to go ahead and put the 2 screws in that hold the latch in. Now that those 2 screws are in, we're going to make sure that we're not hanging up or anything, and everything still operates freely, which it does. Now we can go ahead and begin the programming on the electronic door lock. Okay, let's get into the programming and operating instructions. Here is your operational interface with the lock button and your numerical keypad. Here, it's going to give you some factory default settings. I want you to understand that the factory default programming code is 123456, and the factory default user ID 01 is associated with user code 1234. The sounds that we're looking for is we're looking for 1 long beep and 1 green flash. That tells us that we have valid programming, meaning that we did our programming correctly. Here's all the rest of the instructions for all the different things that the door can emit for the beeps and for the flashes. Now you want to understand that for your programming tips, you have 5 seconds. You have to finish all the programming steps in the programming mode within 5 seconds. So you want to be brief when you do your programming. Now, for me, I set up a cheat sheet. We're going to set up the new programming code to 234567. And I also said, okay, what persons are we going to give codes to? We're going to give a code to me, KenTraining, and to my son. My code, KenTraining, is going to be under user ID 08, and we're going to have user code 3456. My son will have be under user ID 09, and he'll have user code 8855. Now the first thing that we want to do is we want to change the programming code from the factory default. This is the sequence that we're going to depress in order to make that happen. And let's do that right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hit the lock button. Hit the number 4. Lock button. The new code. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lock. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lock. 1 beep and 1 green means we did that correctly. Now that that is completed, we have just changed the programming code from the factory default to the new programming code of 234567. The next thing that we want to do is we want to delete all user codes, because if there's any codes in that lock, we don't want to take any chances. We're going to delete every single code out of that lock right now. And this is the sequence that we're going to depress. in order to make that happen, and let's do that right now. And here we go. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hit the lock button, the number 3, the lock button. Re-enter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, lock. And we did that correctly. And let's just verify that user code 1234 has been deleted. So we're going to go ahead and lock the door. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we got 2 beeps, and it did not retract, telling us that the default factory code has been deleted. Now that we have done that, we have completely deleted all the user codes. We need to now add in the 2 user codes that I want associated with the lock for me and for my son. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to add a new user ID code 08 into the lock set with user code 3456. Here are the exact numbers that we're going to depress to make that happen, and let's do that right now. And here we go. So we type in our new programming code 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hit the lock button, the number 1, the lock button, 08 for the ID lock, 3, 4, 5, 6, lock, 3, 4, 5, 6, lock. 1 beep, 1 green means we got it. We lock the door is locked. Now we type in 3, 4, 5, 6, and the door opened, telling us that we just programmed it correctly for code number 08. We just did this one correctly under code 08. Now that that is completed, we have user ID code 08 associated with new user code 3456 in the lock. Now we have to do the same thing, but for user ID 09. It's very similar to 08, but there's a few digits that are different, and of course the user code is going to be different. We're going to make it 8855. So let's do that right now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hit the lock button, the number 1, the lock button, 09, lock, 8855 lock, 8855 lock. Okay, we got it. We're going to lock the door. We're going to go 8855. And we have it. We've programmed it correctly. Now that that is completed, we have just changed the programming code from the factory default to 234567. We have deleted all the user codes that were in the lock, and we have added 2 new user codes for user ID 08 and 09 under these user codes. And the lock is working great. Okay, that is going to conclude this video on the installation and review of the Brightify electronic door lock in matte black finish. I will leave links down below so that you can purchase yours directly. The quality of the hardware is really nice. You saw the programming instructions and how it was easy to do so. I hope you enjoy your lock for many years to come. If you haven't done so already, please click on like, subscribe to my channel, KenTraining, and I will catch you on the flip side.